The day Maya Santos decided to stop being invisible was the day she found the letter tucked inside a library book, written in handwriting so shaky it looked like a cry for help. She'd been sitting in her usual corner of the downtown Boston Public Library, surrounded by towers of returns she'd volunteered to shelve, when the envelope slipped out of a worn copy of The Little Prince. The paper felt thin as a whisper between her fingers, and the words written on it would crack open something inside her that had been sealed, shut for 3 years. To whoever finds this, it read, I just want someone to know I was here, that I mattered, that on March 15th, 2024, Sarah Chen existed even if nobody noticed. Maya's hands trembled. She knew that feeling. She knew it in her bones, in the hollow space where her confidence used to live before the accident that took her younger sister. The accident, everyone said, wasn't her fault, but that she knew was because she'd been too busy checking her phone to notice. Emma stepping into the crosswalk. For 3 years, Maya had been making herself small, quiet, forgettable, as if by disappearing herself, she could somehow balance the scales of the universe. But this letter from Sarah Chen, dated just 2 weeks ago, was a mirror held up to her own invisible existence, and something ancient and urgent stirred in Maya's chest, something that felt almost like purpose. She spent the next 4 hours tracking Sarah down. In an age of digital footprints, it wasn't as hard as it should have been. Sarah Chen, 67, widowed, living alone in a rent-controlled apartment in Dorchester. No children. No emergency contacts listed in any of the senior services databases. Maya could access through her volunteer coordinator. The woman had made herself a ghost in a city of ghosts, and Maya understood exactly why. The apartment building was one of those forgotten structures wedged between a highway, overpass, and a convenience store that sold lottery tickets behind bulletproof glass. Maya stood outside for 15 minutes, the letter in her coat pocket, before she found the courage to press the buzzer for Unit 4B. The woman who answered the door looked smaller than her years, wrapped in a cardigan that had seen better decades. Her eyes were the color of old pennies, and when they landed on Maya, something flickered there, surprise, maybe, or fear at being found. Sarah Chen? Maya's voice came out steadier than she felt. I don't buy anything at the door, Sarah said, already closing it. Wait. Maya held up the letter. I found this. In a library book. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. Sarah's face did something complicated. Her hand, spotted with age and gripping the door frame, loosened its hold. For a moment, Maya thought she would slam the door anyway. But then Sarah's shoulders dropped, and she looked at Maya with an expression that said she was too tired to keep pretending. You actually came, Sarah whispered. I didn't think anyone would come. That's how it started. A cup of tea that turned into 2 hours of conversation. Sarah told her about Harold, her husband of 40 years, gone now for 5. About the daughter who'd moved to Seattle and stopped calling, after Sarah couldn't afford to fly. Out for the grandkids' birthdays. About the friends who'd drifted away like smoke after Harold died, because grief made people uncomfortable, and Sarah had become a reminder of mortality. I went to the library every week, Sarah said, stirring honey into her 3rd cup of tea. I'd sit and read, and I'd watch all these people around me, living their lives connected to things. And I realized I could disappear tomorrow and nobody would notice for months, maybe longer. She laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. So I started leaving letters. Stupid, right? Like messages in bottles, except the ocean is just strangers who don't care. Maya felt something crack wider in her chest. I care, she said. And I don't think it's stupid. I think it's the bravest thing I've ever seen. Sarah looked at her then, really looked at her, and Maya saw her own reflection in those old penny eyes, 2 women who'd forgotten how to matter. Tell me, Sarah said quietly, what made you invisible? So Maya told her. About Emma, about the accident, about the guilt that had become the only constant companion she trusted. She told Sarah things she'd never said out loud, not even to the therapist her parents had insisted she see. And Sarah listened the way people rarely listen anymore, with her whole body, with her silence, with the kind of attention that made Maya feel like her words were being caught and held sacred. When Maya finally stopped talking, her cheeks were wet, and Sarah was holding her hand across the table. Here's what I know, Sarah said, her voice stronger than Maya had heard it all afternoon. Your sister wouldn't want you to stop living. And you coming here finding me caring enough to knock on a stranger's door, that's not the action of someone who doesn't matter. That's not invisible. That's brave as hell. Something shifted in that moment. Maya couldn't name it, but it felt like a window opening in a room that had been locked too long. She started visiting Sarah twice a week, then 3 times, then nearly every day. They cooked together, Sarah teaching Maya her mother's recipes, Maya introducing Sarah to YouTube cooking channels. They walked through the neighborhood, Sarah pointing out places that used to be different. Maya taking photos on her phone to help Sarah build a digital scrapbook. Maya helped. Sarah set up a Facebook account and reconnect with her daughter in Seattle. The first video call made them both cry. But Maya didn't stop with Sarah. She kept searching for letters. She found 12 more over the next 6 months, tucked in library books across the city. Each one led her to someone else who'd made themselves invisible. Marcus, a veteran in his 70s who ate dinner alone at the same diner every night. Jennifer, a divorced mom working 3 jobs who hadn't had a conversation with another adult in weeks that wasn't about bills or schedules. David, a college student, so buried in anxiety he'd stopped going to class and was hiding it from his family. Maya started a program through the library. Someone Sees You. It connected volunteers with isolated community members, not through pity but through genuine friendship. Sarah became her co-founder. Marcus volunteered to teach woodworking classes. Jennifer started a parent support group. David began peer counseling for other students struggling with mental health. The local news picked up the story. Then a national morning show called, but Maya almost didn't do the interview. It was Sarah who convinced her. You've spent 3 years punishing yourself for being human, Sarah told her the night before the taping. But honey, the most human thing we can do is forgive ourselves and help each other. Your sister Emma, she'd be so proud of who you're becoming. Don't you think it's time to let her be proud? Don't you think it's time to title her Memory with something? Beautiful instead of guilt? Maya broke down then. Really broke down, for the first time since the accident. And Sarah held her, this woman who'd been a stranger 6 months ago, who'd left a message in a bottle that Maya had been meant to find. The interview aired on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday, Maya had 3,000 emails from people who wanted to start similar programs in their cities. By Friday, the library had to assign someone full-time, just to coordinate the volunteer requests. But the moment that mattered most came 2 weeks later, when Sarah's daughter flew in from Seattle with the grandkids. They all gathered in Sarah's tiny apartment, which didn't feel tiny anymore, because it was full of life and noise and the kind of chaos that comes from being loved. Maya watched from the kitchen as Sarah's granddaughter climbed into her lap, and Sarah's face transformed into something that looked like sunlight. Sarah caught Maya's eye across the room and mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." But Maya shook her head, because Sarah had it backward. Sarah had taught her that mattering wasn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It was about showing up. It was about seeing someone else's pain and saying, "I see you. You're not invisible. You matter." That night, Maya went to the cemetery for the first time in 3 years. She sat by Emma's grave and told her little sister everything. About Sarah, about the letters, about learning to forgive herself. Slowly, one day at a time. "I'm titling you right this time, Em," she whispered into the dark. "Not with guilt, but with love. Not with silence, but with action. Every person I help see themselves again, that's me honoring you. That's me saying your life mattered so much that it changed mine. And I'm going to make sure I matter too. For both of us." The wind moved through the trees above her, and Maya chose to believe it was Emma saying she understood, saying she was proud, saying it was time. Maya Santos stopped being invisible the day she found that letter. But the real story, the one that would ripple out through dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of lives, started the moment she decided that one person's cry for help was worth answering, that everyone deserves to be seen, that we all have the power to title each other's stories with kindness instead of letting them end in silence. She just had to be brave enough to show up, and in the end, that was everything.